All right, let's get back to implementing stuff for our editor. Right, so at this point we need to create a new blueprint for our camera. So blueprint map editor camera for our camera. And parent class camera. Do we do here? Reparent parent. All right, and so parent class of this should be map editor camera. Map editor camera pawn. Okay. File save. Boom. All right. Then in our components panel, should have a scene component, scene root, camera component. Okay. In the camera component details, set the field of view to be 90, which it is. Use pawn control rotation. Okay, let's find pawn control rotation is marked. Okay, so we're good on that. All right, perfect. All right, do we have a player controller? We do. Let's make sure that that's correct. We are map editor player controller is our parent. That's correct. In the details panel, camera setting, camera move speed 1000, rotate speed 90, zoom speed 100, max zoom distance 5000. Okay, that is correct. Now we need our cell highlighter. Okay, so another blueprint. This is going to be an actor who is parent class is cell highlighter. So let's find that cell highlighter is our parent. Select we are BP. Cell highlighter. Okay, and if we open that one, let's see. The mesh components should be inherited from C++. If you want to customize materials, here material for hover and selection, set them in the hover material and selection material properties. We've got meshes. Right now we're grid materials. Yeah. Let's let's do something for that. Let's create a couple of materials. Material grid. Let's just make it straight. I don't remember what the linear to sRGB, sRGB to linear, just VB or that. Material selection material. I think I can just do what? Brain's not working. Constant free vector. There we go. Okay, and we'll make it highlight will be red. We'll set that as our base color. Okay, so just a quick freaking little, yeah, red color, and then we'll duplicate this and name it grid selected. Then we'll just pop it up and we'll make that then make it be green. Okay, and save. Then here, then we can do this as grid hover and grid selected. Okay. So just so we have those. Okay, so that's our cell highlighter. Our editor interface widget, which we have, right? Widget blueprint, editor interface, which is just, yeah, editor UI. And we want this to be then a parent of our this parent to now be editor interface. Editor interface. Okay, and now we got to make sure that we've got all of these elements and buttons and blah 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 and all that jazz in. Okay, so what do you want for this layout? You want a canvas panel in the root, which we have, followed by a vertical box. Really? Well, I have a horizontal box. Selected cell info, name, horizontal box, wall controls, horizontal box, surface controls. Detailed widgets setup. I don't know if I want this layout. Let's see. And then we're getting into okay. Because we still have like our new map and all that shit. I think I actually just want, I think I want to just set up what it's talking about in here in this. And I think that'll work. So let's try that. So text, and we need that text to be called selected cell text. All right, and then we have a horizontal. This is all inside that vertical box. All right, that is wall controls. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. Two, three. All right, and we've got north wall, east wall button. Sorry. North wall button. Sometimes this south wall button. And west wall button. Okay, and now each of these text in them. Boom. 2, 3. All right, and then you're going to be north, east, south, and west. Okay. Then we have another horizontal box. Inside of our vertical box. And that is our surface controls. Surface controls. All right, and in that we've got 2 buttons inside of there. Button 1, 2. All right, and you are floor button and ceiling button. All right, text, ceiling button, floor, ceiling. Boom. Okay. So now if I compile, what am I missing? Nothing. We compile. Perfect. All right. So we've got all the elements that are now tied to the C++ class. And we've got our UI. Okay. We got our wall buttons. Got that surface buttons, style the widgets. Yeah, I'm not worried about styling this stuff right now. All right, input settings. Update project input settings. Edit project settings. Okay. Engine input. Okay. Following action mappings. Action mappings. Boom. All right, what do we want? Select. Left mouse button. Perfect. Rotate left, rotate right. Rotate left, Q, rotate right, E. Perfect. Toggle north wall. I didn't think we were going to do the... Oh, with control modifier. Okay. Oh, so these are here. W with control. Okay, so toggle north wall's there. Toggle east wall, south wall, west wall. Toggle floor. Control F. Toggle ceiling. Control C. And then axis mappings. Move forward. WS. Move right. WSAD. Yes. Turn. Mouse X. Look up. Mouse Y. Yep. And then mouse wheel. Boom. Okay. All right, configure the HUD. BP map editor HUD. All right, so project settings are good. We have a map editor HUD. Let's make sure that that is what we expect. Okay, map editor HUD. Where we go? Editor interface class. All right, what are we doing here? Set up open map editor HUD in the details panel. Editor interface class. Editor interface class. Map editor widget class. We leave empty for now. Okay. Create and configure the map level. All right, we have an editor level. Let's open up our editor level. Yes, save everything, please. Okay. Still functioning. So in the actors, we need a map manager. We have a map manager. Configure the map manager. We have a map data asset. Assign it to the map manager's map data asset. We have one in there. Set grid size to 400. Okay, that's all done. In the level, go to world settings. And our game mode is map editor game mode, right? Yep. Okay. Play in editor. Okay, I'm getting no. Okay, so Q, kind of. But that's not right. Okay, that's working. But our WASD movement's a little funky. And, oop, we almost had. We had a brief moment of kind of selection. But our colors are wrong. I don't think our buttons are doing anything. Default meshes assigned. Okay, so I need default meshes assigned to things. Okay, well, we're kind of hooked up, but things are a little funky, a little off. These colors aren't right. I don't know if it's actually using the materials properly. And the camera is definitely wrong because, okay, I'm hitting D and I'm like rotating in a circle. And if I do S, same thing. It's like this weird circle. So right mouse button and moving around, that works. But we've got this weird, like we're moving in a circle. Which is kind of odd. Not at all what I would expect for anything. And we created these that like pawn class, but I don't know that there's anything that we've done that actually made use of that. So we created a camera pawn, we set that, compile and save, but it might just be picking that up on the blueprint or on the C++ side of things. Okay, so let's grab Claude over here, and also other new things that we're dealing with today. They've released Claude 4, so I'm switching over to using that. I'm using Sonnet right now. I worked with Opus in a another project I'm working on, and yeah, Opus consumes usage limits faster than other models. You aren't kidding. Like one question. In my other project, I was working through. I'm working through updating an old Spring Boot project that was using Spring Boot and Angular for the UI and Spring Boot for the backend and hosting the application and whatnot. And it was that code been sitting around for I don't know 3 or 4 years since it was like initially kind of written, and so using Claude 4 to help me update it to latest versions of Spring Boot and Angular, and like I had it do one kind of like refactor of the project, and boom, usage limits reached. So yeah, so for this I switched to Sonnet just to get a little bit, hopefully get a little more usage out of it before it starts kind of cutting me off. But all right, so we've kind of got this set up. Let's start with a new thing here. Let's see if we can work out the camera movements. So let's see, how do I want to state this? All right, so I've integrated editor functionality based on the C++ classes you wrote. I'm having an issue with the WASD camera movement when running in the editor. Moving left or right looks like it is rotating me around some sort of central point. The way movement should work should be relative to direction the camera is facing. So W always moves me in the direction I'm looking. S moves me backwards from the direction I'm looking, comma, and A and B always move me to the left and move me left and right based on my facing. Okay, let's see what it says to that. Well, I don't know why you're asking me if I can show you. You can read the files directly. The directory is in the project settings. Okay. See the problem. You're setting movement velocity in world space coordinates, but then in the tick function, you're rotating these velocities using the actor's rotation. Move right, you're always setting camera velocity Y, but in a rotated coordinate system, the Y-axis might not correspond to the camera's right direction anymore. Change how the movement is calculated to be truly camera relative. The key change is that instead of using controlled pawn get actor rotation, rotate vector camera velocity, we are now getting the camera's actual forward and right vectors using get actor forward vector and get actor right vector. Building the movement vector by combining these directional vectors with the input values. Try compiling and testing the changes and see if that movement works better. All right, let's build. All right, build successful. Now let's see if our camera movement feels a little more natural. Yes. Okay, now we just got to get, until I hit Q or E. So Q or E are messing up our, okay. This appears to be working correctly, comma, until I click either the Q, stop, Q or E button. When I click Q or E, do not rotate as I would expect, and then my WASD keys are back to rotating around a central point. So let's have a look at our Q and E. Okay, so we're setting a continuous rotation velocity and applying an immediate rotation. Okay, rotate left and rotate right functions are setting camera rotation velocity to a continuous rotation speed, but they're not resetting it back to 0. This means after you press Q or E, the camera keeps rotating continuously, which breaks the camera relative movement. Rotation functions are bound to pressed, but they set a continuous rotation velocity that never gets reset. We need to either use released bindings to stop the rotation, or make the rotation functions apply an instant rotation to continue instead of continuous velocity. We'll go with option 2. Yeah, that sounds good to me. I need to also ensure camera rotation velocity and the tick function gets reset properly. Okay, this feels like, so far, these edits from Claude 4 feel like they're happening way faster than they did in 3, but that could just be me. All right, so that's done. So now let's pop back again. See how things are looking now. All right, so left, right, yep, forward, back. That looks great. Q and E are no longer causing an interference issue, but they also are not rotating. Oh, and they've messed up our directional. Okay. Okay, so still not quite right. Okay. I'm still not getting any rotation when using the Q or E button. And there is still somewhat of a... Okay, let's see if it can just fix that. And then if it then is still interfering with then the WASD after rotating with Q or E. Words are hard. Yeah, let's get the rotation with Q and E working, and then if it's still interfering with the WASD movement after, we'll deal with that after that. All right, so now we're going to see if we have debug messages in the logs. Okay. So let's pop up the output log. Let's make sure that we are clearing on Pi. All right, ticket. Boom. All right. WA. Yep, that's all looking fine. And if I Q, new rotation. And if I E, new rotation. And my files, or my WASD do seem to be working fine. If I rotate, I still... No. Yeah, no. So it's still, there's still something wrong in the world coordinates. Okay. Okay. I do get the log messages. Oh, let me go ahead and grab them. But I don't see any rotation in the editor. Not seeing the visual rotation. This suggests the issue might be with how the camera component is set up, or that the rotation isn't being applied to the right component. Be that we're rotating the pawn, but the camera component, which might be overriding your rotation. Found the issue. The camera has pawn control rotation true, which means it's using the player controller's control rotation instead of the pawn's actual rotation. When we rotate the pawn, the camera doesn't follow because it's following the controller's rotation instead. We're going to set the control rotation instead of the actor's rotation. Okay. All right, let's compile that and see if that works. Whoops, wrong thing. I want to be on you. Excellent. Back to you, back to you. All right. Are we trying to see something? Whoa. Okay. All right. It feels like that's like a 90-degree jump or something like that. It's doing. That's feels off. Okay. I am now seeing the rotation. But it's like a 90-degree jump rather than a smooth rotation while I have the key pressed. My expectation is that as long as I'm holding down the key, will be spinning in the correct direction. As opposed to rotating a specific amount every time I press the key. Okay. It's from IE pressed to handle both IE pressed and IE released events to start and stop rotation. Okay. All right, so now Q press starts continuous left rotation. Q release stops rotation. E does that. Boom does that. Okay. So let's jump back here, compile that up. Boom. Okay. To you. Okay. All right. That's working, but our WASD is still north is always moving in the same direction, not the direction the camera's facing. Okay, that looks to be working, but the WASD are still not relative to the direction the camera is facing. In other words, seeing W always moves me in the same direction. So if I'm facing north and hit W, move forward, rotate 90 degrees, W moves me to the side. There I'm facing. Okay. Okay. So let's see. I thought it. One of the things I'm noticing with Claude 4 that I did not see in 3 uh, is it's maintaining the context of the code base way more. So like when I'm asking, like when I told it, hey, I've got this, it's immediately coming back and going, oh, that's because this, right? Whereas in 3, it would always have to go back and reread the files like every question. So that's pretty interesting and kind of cool. And we're hiding a class member. Okay, so now this is going to be interesting because I've ran into these issues before in the previous versions of Claude where we have these declarations that hide class members. Um, and it was not very good at understanding how to fix them, right? And so I just have to go in and I just like change it from control rotation to local control rotation. Um, but I'm interested to see if Claude 4 is maybe better at fixing that. So I'll go ahead and pop this on Claude just as a test and see what it does to address that kind of issue. Different variable name. Perfect. Current control rotation. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so yes, so 4 is much better than that because in 3 it would get, I don't know, it would try to do like these convoluted solutions to that and end up like trying to adjust all the classes and whatnot. And it's just like, yeah, no, you don't need to do that. Just rename the variable. So that's an improvement. Good to see. All right. So we have successfully done that. All right. So here we are. We're this. We do this. Okay. Forward, backward is the direction I'm facing. Yep. Perfect. Okay. I rotate a little bit. It just, yep, left, right, forward, backward. Boom. Okay. But okay, so now we need to get the selection. Cell selected at coordinate 0, 0, 0. Okay, so yeah, so I'm really kind of not liking, and I kind of expected I wouldn't like it. This whole concept of clicking and ray casting shit for selection. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Okay. All right. So let's see if we, well, actually, because we've been going for a little bit now, 46 minutes. Let's call this an episode, and we'll continue on in the next episode with continuing to get this stuff kind of fine tuning. We'll work on getting the cell selection working so that we know that we're dealing with a specific cell. So yeah, so this episode we got everything integrated in from our last edits, our C++ files that we created for the editor. We've got all that integrated. We've fixed all of the kind of camera movement, dealt with that. Awesome. Played around, got to use Claude for a little bit on this. So far, very happy on that. Seen a lot better things there. And yeah, and so next episode we'll work on getting cell selection fully functional and get all of that working. So drop a like, subscribe, comments, questions, criticisms, whatever, drop it all in there. And next episode we will work on cell selection. Right.